have a question. What is your favorite song and how do you connect with it? Is it when you fell in love or through something really difficult? I'm your host, Tiffany Mason. Now join me as I interview others and we take a walk down memory lane with them. Let's get lost in why that music matters to them. Turn up your radio and let's explore Memories with a Beat. Hello, Podcast Land. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Memories with a Beat. And today I have a new friend with me, and I'm going to have you say your last name. So it's Angela
Locashio. Like pistachio.
That's exactly what I would have said. Locashio, Pistachio, got it. And she is actually bringing to us a song that I have heard of many times, but I'm not sure I've actually this is that song or whatever. So it's a little bit of a different vibe than some of the other songs that we've had. So I'm kind of excited about it, just that it's a different genre. But you just saying that it was emotional for you has me intrigued, where this song is going to take us. But first and foremost, Angela Locashio, welcome to Memories with a Beat. Can you tell my audience a little bit about yourself, where you live, what you do, married, kids, dogs, cats, whatever?
Sure, absolutely. I am an intersectional life and business coach, and I work with nerdy, neurodivergent, and queer professionals. I work a lot with diversity and inclusion, whether that is in the workplace or small businesses, making sure that they are marketing within their value systems. Prior to that, I was a public school teacher. I have my master's in education and love all things education. I am also a clinical sexologist, which plays into that intersectionality piece because I find that the wellness wheel talks about all of the things except for sexuality, which is definitely a part of who we are. I am married. There's another intersection for me. My husband is 15 years younger than I am.
Oh my goodness. Okay. But he's in the military.
He is in the military. He actually joined after my son. And that actually matters because we're going to be talking about that with the song. But he actually joined and became a Marine after my son joined and became a Marine.
So I was looking on your Facebook. Your son does not look like he is old enough to be in the military.
My son is 22 years old and actually got married last year. Yeah.
Stop it.
I'm serious. I'm 45 years old.
You gave him good genes. What?
I am 45 years old. Yeah.
Y'all, she's 3 years older than me and she easily looks like you're 10 years younger than me.
People tease me that I look like and act like a 12-year-old boy.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, my mind is blown. That's the end of the interview, folks. Hope you enjoyed it. Okay, so where do you live now?
Actually, we are stationed in California, and I live in Oceanside. That is where Camp Pendleton is. Originally, I'm from Kansas.
Okay.
Which I'm sure you saw that on my Facebook page. So yeah, originally I'm from Kansas. I spent 5 years living up in Montreal. I actually moved to Montreal to get my first degree in education because I wanted to work with English second language and I wanted it to have an international perspective and be maybe a little more open than some of the schools are here. So I actually went up there and went to McGill to get my teaching degree. And my son's dad is actually from there as well.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Well, that seems very intersectional, that there's a lot of stuff going on there where you could relate with other people.
So much stuff.
And then did you say that you are getting ready to launch a podcast?
We are launching our podcast called Drudgery, Dreams, and In Between. There's this beautiful spectrum of people going, oh, I hate work and it sucks and I hate everything about it. And I have these dreams and I can't have my dreams. And like so many other things, there's all of this in between. What's happening in between the drudgery and the dream? Yeah, we give advice and we have people come on and talk about businesses and, asking for what you're worth. And mindset, consensual entrepreneurship, intersectionality within business, what it's like to be a queer person who's trying to start a business and being out and proud and dealing with some of the things that we deal with and all of that good stuff.
Wow. Okay. I've not heard of a concept like this. So I really love that. The stuff in between, because most people really do kind of weigh on both ends of the spectrum, but they kind of do forget about the stuff in the middle. So very, right. I want to say introspective of you, but I don't think that's the right word, that people are kind of missing that middle piece,
It's actually really funny that you say that because as a late diagnosed autistic woman, I get told often, I can't be autistic because I'm so introspective. Like, you can't be autistic because you're so self-aware. And let me just put that down right now, that that's not true. So I actually love that you used the word introspection because it is, because that's my own experiences. Rarely am I fully in the dredge or fully in the dream. Most of life is going to be spent moving up and down the spectrum, and you never are just going to be in one specific point.
Very cool. Okay, well, I'm looking forward to that. Of course, you guys, I'm going to put it in the show notes, so make sure you check it out and give it a listen and check out the stuff in between. Well, you kind of teased us a little bit, and you said that your husband joined the Marines after your son joined the Marines, and that was going to kind of play into this song. So let's go ahead and put it out there. What song have you chosen? And then we can just dig right into why you like it or the lyrics that stick out to you. Just kind of take it away for me.
Okay, awesome. So, Metalica, Hero of the Day, is the song that I
Okay.
chose to talk to you about. And what's really funny is when I was sending it to you, like, I want to talk about this, I started crying.
Aw.
I have goosebumps right now as I'm thinking about it because it really does bring up lots of different emotions. You know, sadness and happiness and pride and want and need, all of these emotions all happening at the same time. It's just a very emotionally charged song for me.
Mm-hmm. So do you want to dive into lyrics, or is it more stories that you want to share that kind of go with it, or is it intertangled?
Actually, it's very interconnected there. We can look right at the very, very first line. They say,
Sure.
the very first thing they say is, Mama, they try and break me.
Yep.
Well, let me tell you what. When your child goes into the military, it doesn't matter what branch it is. When your child goes into the military and they do it right from high school and they are gone for 3 months and you don't, well, for the Marine Corps anyway, it's for 3 months with you get no contact with them. You're sending them letters. You might get a letter or 2 or 3 from them. It depends. But you go from seeing them every single day to them being gone for 3 months. And you have these horror stories that people like to tell you. And you get more of the horror stories from people.
Sure.
You get this all the time. Aren't you afraid he's going to die? These are the things that people say to you. Before they even leave, people are going, aren't you afraid he's going to die? So there's all of this emotion and it's sitting on you. And I've always been a mom that, and this is, my son tells me this. He says, Mom, thank you so much for not being a helicopter mom and for letting me be me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't have those huge attachments and I didn't have that big emotional reaction to him leaving. I was proud and I'm like, yay, I've done my job, and he's flying from the nest and he's doing things that he wants to do with his life. And then you have these people like putting these ideas in your head and you're like, am I a bad mom?
I never thought of that. So I'm proud of you that you were like, yes, baby, go do your thing. That's pretty awesome.
Actually, part of my experience was, is there something wrong with me because I'm not boohooing and I'm not crying and I'm not, you know, all upset and emotional? So something about this song really, it's the thing that hit the emotions. It's the thing. And James Hetfield said when he put this song out, according to Songfacts, it's not like I've had a conversation with him, but according to Songfacts, he said that the song is about kids looking for heroes outside of their home instead of looking at their parents as heroes. And of course you want to be your child's hero, right? But for me, I wanted my son to be his own hero. And he's always been very much his own person. But when he decided to join the Marine Corps, this was after his dad died. So he had already had enough difficult emotions happening. And he made that decision to do that. That's what I felt for him, is he is trying to figure out how he can be his own hero, how he can be a man in his own life who he loves and respects. And so,
cool,
right? When you look at the song.
Now, is he mature enough to realize that?
Oh, yeah. He is a very introspective child.
Okay.
He's a great artist. When he was 5 years old, he drew a picture of an armadillo. And in one hand, it was holding a heart, and it was an anatomically correct heart. And in the other hand, it was holding a skull.
Okay.
And he said, Mom, I want this tattoo. Okay, tell me what that tattoo means to you. And he says, well, you know, the armadillo has a soft belly, but it curls up in a ball to protect it. And it's got that hard shell. And the heart is really soft and has to be protected. And the skull is really hard and it protects things by you thinking.
Wow. Holy smokes.
So that's my kid. That's my kid.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's intense, really. I mean,
Yeah.
well, I think it's interesting that you said that this song, you didn't really have a hard time saying goodbye, or you did, in your own way, but then the song comes on and it just cues the waterworks. And I've had a previous guest say that sometimes those emotions are in us, but it takes a song and all of a sudden it brings those emotions to the surface. So I think that's kind of what you're explaining. Like they were there, you just weren't accessing them fully or something. And then this song comes along and boom.
Absolutely, 100%. Again, as an autistic woman, I don't always recognize, or I recognize it, but I don't necessarily exhibit feelings the same way. And I've had to work really, really hard at recognizing my specific emotions and the visceral reactions that I have to them. So sometimes it does. Sometimes it does take a song. And when I have a reaction like that to a song, it tells me stop, listen, and look at the lyrics. Feel the music and what the music is doing and why. Why is that important to you? Is there something that you've missed that you need to look at? And how is that going to help you grow and, be a better human being and all that good stuff?
Well, and probably everything you do as a coach has taught you to do those exercises.
Oh, 100%. Learning how to do those exercises for myself and for my students, and even for the teachers who I worked with, actually is what took me out of education in the public school sector and into being an educator working with individuals and teams and businesses.
Okay, that makes sense.
Having to learn how to access those emotions and interact with each other when we're having those emotions, or when our coworkers or somebody we care about is having those emotions.
All right, well, what's next?
Okay, well, that mama, they try and break me. That's
Yeah.
why they go to boot camp, right? You're told as a parent, and they're told you are going in here to break you down and build you back up to who you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, I'm like, oh, there he is. He's doing this thing. I'm not there to support him. And I don't know exactly what's happening. I just have to trust that he's got this.
Mm-hmm. Got a podcast? Are you loving it, but not loving how much time post-production takes? Or maybe you just have other tasks calling your name a little bit louder. Virtually You can help. Check out virtuallyouva.com, supporting you in all things podcasting, like editing, show notes, audiograms, and much more. See the link in the show notes. They're waiting to give you back your time. And on that note, let's get back to the show.
That's when the second line comes in. The window burns to light the way back home.
Aww.
Now, not everybody has the experience to be able to return or have a family to come home to that feels safe and secure and provides them with what they need as an authentic human being. I hope that I provide that space for my son. I believe I provide that space for him. They don't call me Mama Pistachio for no reason. I provide that space for a lot of people because that's an important space to have. But putting it from the Marine Corps context, when your kid goes off to the crucible at the end, and that's like the last big thing that they have to do, and at the end of that, they're actually going to be called a Marine for the first time. Up until the point that they finish that, they are a recruit. At the end of that, they are a Marine.
Okay.
This is when the men, and let's get really misogynistic here and heteronormative, they get to shed one single man tear. That's what they say. We get to shed one single man tear, and it's a good place and okay to cry through pride, and it's recognized as a perfectly honorable crying session, which I think any is, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
But as a parent, what you do is you have candles that last through that whole several day period of while they're doing the crucible, and you light the candle at the beginning and it stays on at the end, and it is to signify your support. They can't see it, they don't know. But it's there to signify your support. And I created a Marine Moms group. I started that before I left Kansas. Specifically, I shouldn't say Marine Moms, it's a Marine Parents group, but the moms specifically get together every couple of weeks for breakfast and do a lot of support for each other. And so this group, you put in, my kids go into the crucible, and then it may not just be your home that has a candle lit for them.
Oh, that gave me chills. I love that.
Right? So it's a really special thing, and it's part of that interconnectedness of even having, you're not alone in the experience yourself. And the candle means that too, right? Like, not only are you shining the way home for your child, but you're also signaling that you need support from other people.
Mm-hmm.
And how important is that, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Very important.
The next line says, a light that warms no matter where they've gone.
Yeah. Mm.
Right?
I love that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So just that first line in and of the first three lines in and of themselves that's enough.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I love it next saying that they're off to find the hero of the day, because you're saying that that's, what he's off doing. I mean, your version of it, and maybe he is, and he just doesn't even know it even. But as smart as he is, he probably knows it.
Well, and then also looking to the different figures that are there as authority figures and looking for somebody who you can look up to and respect. And the DIs are different in there. Like you've got the meanie, you've got the one who's like really mean and raw, and then you've got the one who's kind of like a dad figure. So they have different ones. And the purpose is to find that support. It ends up being more, though, within yourself and within the people who you're with and making those connections.
Sure. Yep. I can see that. I think you form bonds strongest with the people that go through the same crap that you go through. If you go through it together, or you go through a similar crap sandwich situation, yeah, you really bond with those people.
It's so funny that you say that. That is actually part of the conversation, right? My husband and I will have that conversation sometimes. He'll come home and it'll just be like, it was just a shit day. It was horrible.
Yeah.
But we went through it together. And the point of it was that we were going to go through it together. That's what team building is. And that's what helps us.
Yep.
And it can suck, and it does suck. But there is something about knowing that you're not doing it alone.
Yep. I would agree with that. Absolutely. And you know that you're not the only one that had the suck. Right? Like you had crap that you went through, and I went through it with you, and he went through it with us, and we all made it through and came out the other side.
Right.
It's kind of like that misery loves company idea.
Yeah. Yeah. That's part of the process.
Yeah. And it just forms a bond.
Yep. It absolutely does.
Yep.
So the next line is, but what if they should fall by someone's wicked way? That is very self-explanatory. You do worry about that. You worry about that whether it's your child or any person who you love. The song was just as impactful when my husband was gone and I would listen to it. Now it's two people, and so you do worry. You worry, what if, and I'm not there.
Yeah.
And I'm not there to pick up the pieces. They have to do this alone. But remember, they're not alone. And here I am.
Yep.
And here's how I can support. Still the window burns. Time so slowly turns. That's a long ass 3 months.
Yep. I bet it is. I don't envy anybody.
And then honestly, I didn't get to hug him for almost 2 years. I didn't get to see him again. We had COVID happening and he was on a deployment that got extended because of COVID and he couldn't come home. And, there were months and months where I didn't hear his voice.
Yeah.
But that light was always there. Home was always there. He always knew. And I hope that I had set that. And that's the comfort that I could have is I've set this precedence with him. Mm-hmm. He knows I'm here.
Yeah.
And that's where my comfort had to be.
Yeah. It's very important that you figured that out and that you were able to lean on that, because other people may not have that sense of security that they offer their child that you could lean on. They may not be able to provide that.
Right. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And that's where, the parent groups and getting together with other people and having conversations and allowing yourself to grow and learn from them. And, when you have that moment of, I wish I had with my child, mm-hmm. Is your child still alive? Then it's not too late.
I like that too.
And if your child isn't still alive, it's still not too late. It's still not too late because you still get to, I'm speaking as a parent who has gone through some difficult times and I only have one living child. You still have the opportunity to be the person who you want to be, even if you weren't that person to that child.
Yep, I hear that. What's coming to my mind is that song by Natasha Bedingfield, The Rest is Still Unwritten, that song. And she's talking about writing in a book and the story is not finished,
Yeah, it's never finished.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You get to put that word in there. Even if you need help from somebody else and somebody else has to write the word in there for you, you get to be part of that experience because I'm not sure if you're familiar with Emily and Amelia Nagoski, but they wrote this wonderful book called Burnout. And it talks about completing the stress response cycle. And if you went to my website or you see on my Facebook page, I say self-care is bullshit. I say that a lot because I believe that this culture of self-care that we have is detrimental and it puts all of the responsibility on individuals to be the ones to take care of themselves when what we really need is community care. And so Emily and Amelia Nagoski in their book, they said self-care is not the answer. Care is the answer.
I would really highly agree with that. First of all, I feel like self care is starting to be expressed very indulgently. And it's not that we need this indulgent experience because it doesn't really fill the cup, right? Like you can go to the spa all day long and come home and I still feel depleted. Whereas if I go out with my friend and I maybe complain about life a little bit and, laugh a whole bunch, I come home and I can face whatever I left. You leave to kind of escape all the shit in your house. And then you come back and I can come back and face my family and face my chores and face all my responsibility, because of the care that that person gave me while we went out, while, my friend made me laugh or while we did a, unique experience. That is self-care. Yeah, to me more than go get a massage. Like massage is great. I'm not knocking it. I love me a good massage, but it's just not self-care to me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, think about all of the people in our society who really need the most. We all need care, but there are some people who need a little bit more care right now. They can't freaking afford to go to the spa.
Right. Yes, absolutely. And then it makes you feel
That's not the answer for them.
right. Yes.
Exactly. Then they are now ashamed. We are shaming the people who cannot, like, oh, you can't afford to sit down and have a glass of wine and an indulgent. Yeah, you can't afford that. Well, shame on you. Shame on you. Figure out how to afford that so you can take care of yourself. When that is not what we need at all. We need a society where community takes care of everyone and where everyone feels valid, valued, and cared for.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's important. I think that's what makes us thrive as humans.
Listening to this song helps me do that. Sharing this song with others and asking them, hey, mom, what does this song make you feel when you listen to it? And then being able to have a conversation about it. That's care.
So you share this song with other moms from Marine Corps, from your mom group, or just other people in general?
Other people in general. There's another Metallica song that comes up very often as well. I'm always kind of an outcast. So like you said at the beginning, the song's a bit of a different genre. I'll be honest, most people, they haven't heard it and they don't want to listen to it just because it's not the kind of music that they like. I haven't had a lot of people really, like, oh yeah, I love that song and let's sit down and talk about it. But I can go on to Song Facts and I can see things that other people have written about it. I can go onto YouTube and see things that other people have written about it, and I can post it on my Facebook or on my Instagram or on LinkedIn or wherever. And I can have conversations like I'm having with you, and I can feel cared for and connected, which is what it's all about, right?
Yep. What I would say about it being a different genre is, like my kids, I don't know, just whenever the kids ask why about certain things, I can't think of anything specific right now, but I'm always like, I don't know, baby, that's why they got a whole bunch of different paint colors because everybody likes something a little bit different. And so I would say the same thing about the music. I, however, grew up with Metallica, so I love me some Metallica. But what I would say to you guys who's listening, well, I guess we're only 3 years apart, so that would make sense that we both grew up listening to Metallica, right?
Yep.
Is that these are clear words. So if you pull up a Metallica song and you think, oh, that's heavy metal or whatever you have preconceived in your mind, I would really challenge you to go to the playlist on Spotify, on Apple Music, or YouTube, and it's just called Memories with a Beat, the playlist. I want you guys to listen to this. If you listen to it on Apple Music, you can actually access the lyrics while you're listening to it. But especially using Angela's take on the music and then listening to the words, you can actually hear the words. So this is not headbanger heavy music. This is very approachable. You can easily digest it and take in, just all the things. And maybe it will hit you in a way that you didn't expect. So that's what I have to say about this being a different genre and you guys checking it out. You absolutely have to check it out. Okay, please continue, Miss Angela.
So Metallica joined up with the symphony and they did this whole amazing live series, and they have the albums. So there's actually a version of the song. If you look it up, Hero of the Day, Metallica S&M, it's actually the version that has the symphony, the live symphony.
So cool.
Along with it. I mean, how beautiful is that? It is really, really, really beautiful. It is wicked cool.
Okay, so guys, check out these show notes.
As the song continues, right after it says time slowly turns, it says someone there is sighing, keepers of the flames. Do you feel their names? Can't you hear your babies crying? Oh, there it goes. Every time, that gets me every time. You don't want to hear your babies crying. You don't want to see them in pain.
No, you want to bubble wrap them.
Right, you do. You want to bubble wrap them. But as a parent, to have your child come to you when they are in need and to know that they feel comfortable and safe doing that, that is bliss.
I feel like it's a badge of honor. Like my son calls me every time he argues with his girlfriend. And I feel so honored that, like you're saying, like you've created this safe space for your son. I am so honored. Like that was one of my goals as a parent, that when my kids got older, I wanted them to feel comfortable to come and talk to me about anything. So I can relate to that. And I would agree, sheer bliss. I want to put it all over Facebook. Like my son just had a problem and he called me. Post.
Right. And I'm blessed as a parent that I have provided that space, but also that he is able to come into that space. My son is not someone who is into the whole like toxic masculinity culture. I don't think that that's just from being raised by me. I think it's just part of who he is as an individual. But at the same time, he's stoic and very protective of me. It took another mom had to say this. A mom who was watching one of our interactions was like, your son is so protective of you. He watches the room and he like looks to make sure that you're okay. I'm like, that's really cool. I didn't know that. It kind of makes me sad for him, but at the same time makes me proud as a mom. But he hasn't always been someone to emote. He needed other outlets to deal with his anger and his emotions. But as they get older, and you as a parent allow them to be their own human beings and they feel safe with you, that you accept them however they are, that you're not going to judge them, and that your relationship gets to grow and you're not always going to be the parent. Your relationship can grow into something else. You will get that opportunity to see those emotions.
Well, you're making me have a light bulb moment. I mean, we all know what unconditional love is, but I think you're explaining that you've given your son unconditional love. And I know I've given my son unconditional love. And so that's what is the end result, right? Is that trust and that security to come and just know, like, I'm going to put some crap out there. I know she's not going to judge me, but she's going to have some advice for me. And she loves me. So it's going to come from a place of love, not a place of disappointment, anger, frustration, any of that. So that's kind of a fun little light bulb moment.
And let me just be clear, I am not a perfect parent by any means.
None of us are.
There was a time in my life I, get really focused on things. And in order to not deal with my own emotions about things and my own stuff, I am a workaholic and I will put absolutely every bit of my time, effort, and energy into that. And there was a time where I was talking about my students at school and the needs that they have, because I worked with students in low socioeconomic situations who did not always have the best home lives, some of them. And I felt that it was my responsibility to save the world. And I did that at the expense of my relationship with my child. So I want anybody who's listening, please don't feel shame or regret or bad if this is not your experience as a parent.
Well, and didn't you also say that this is not a finished story? It's not too late?
It's not too late. And that's exactly why I can say that. I'm not just pulling that out of my ass. I can say that because my son looked at me one day and he said, "It's okay, Mom. Your students need you more than I do."
Well, maybe he saw it from a compassionate point of view, though.
He absolutely did. But never, ever, ever is that the experience that I wanted for my child.
If these damn kids would just come with a manual.
Right? It's so true. There's my light bulb moment. Maybe this song hits me the way it does because he is a resilient kid. He is a resilient kid. He's shown that he's a resilient kid. I've sure made enough mistakes as a parent, and he was able to come through that. And he was able to come through. It's hard. Being a Marine is really, really, really hard.
When did your son lose his dad? How old was he?
It was about 29 days before his 17th birthday.
Okay. So I don't know, but I was maybe thinking that maybe he felt like he needed to be a protector. Your son, maybe when he lost his dad, and I'm assuming you guys didn't have a relationship at that point, you and his dad?
We were friends at that point.
So I'm wondering if he felt like he had to protect you because there was nobody else left to protect you. And maybe that's where that has kind of kicked in. Or has he always kind of been a protector, do you think?
I think he's always been that way. And when this other mom said that to me, I kind of reflected back on things. And wasn't that him protecting me when he said, "It's okay, mom.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They need you more than I do." You know, we're a bunch of nerds and geeks, and the characters that he tends to play when we're playing D&D are protectors. I think it's just an integral part of his personality.
Very cool, though. That's a cool aspect to have of your personality. And a lucky wife that he has now.
Yeah, she's a sweet girl. She's really sweet. And yes, very lucky.
Yep, she's got a strong protective man.
And so is he to have her.
Is there more that we want to dive into here?
For people who want to watch the video, it's interesting to look at the interpretations that people made. A lot of people have said that they thought it was somebody who came back from war and that they were experiencing PTSD. That is not, from what I understand, what the song was trying to say at all. But it does do a good job of showing some of the frustration and angst and anger that happens when you're learning who you are at 20 years old. So some of the other words in the song, they go on like, "Don't want your aid, but the first I've made for years won't hold or feel. No, I'm not all me. So please excuse me while I tend to how I feel."
I liked that line, actually. That one kind of stuck out to me.
Right? Like they have to be allowed the space to figure out who they are other than their identity as your child.
Agreed. Yep, my son has definitely been going through that and just asking questions and wanting to know answers. And it's like, I don't know, Preston, I'm 42. I still don't have the answers. So if you find them, let me know.
Right, absolutely. Exactly. It comes down again and it says, "The window burns, time so slowly turns." And it goes through that again. And really, that's what it is. It's about that connection. It doesn't have to be your child, it can be any person. You know, as a sexologist, right, I deal with relationships a lot, even in the workspace between a mentor and the mentee. There are times of growth, and you have to allow people space to grow. And if that means that they're stepping away from you for a little bit to do that, the most loving, generous thing that you can do within your own boundaries is to allow them that space. Because holding them there most definitely isn't going to work for you or for them. So you may as well. You may as well let them fly, right? Let them fly. If they don't come back, it doesn't mean that they don't love you.
Yes, right. It means you did a good job, I think. Yeah.
Right? Or it just means that they got what they needed and now it's time for them to take some other avenue. Whatever kind of relationship it is. And I think that's really what this song is saying, is you be true to you. You be within your value system and you be giving. And you hold up the flame and let people know that it's safe with you, always within your own boundaries.
Very important. Yes.
Right? Always within your own boundaries.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think this is maybe an appropriate time of year for this message even to be coming out as the people are graduating and spreading their wings. And maybe some students are heading off to basic and maybe some students are heading off to college. But regardless, you know, I think that you're right that they need to take a step away. And that was so hard for me. And I would really say my son did that probably his sophomore, junior, senior year, almost more so than going off to college. And I just remember I had such a hard time letting go and accepting some of the decisions. And it's just a good time of year for this song, I think, for us to be bringing this to light. So thank you so much, Angela. Oh my gosh, what a great song for just everyone to think of their graduates, but also, like you're saying, just really any relationship, how that looks. I have a friend who is getting ready to go through a divorce, and I'm thinking of her and her children that are elementary kids, but it's the same thing where, okay, you have to give them space to develop a new relationship with their father and you the time to develop your own relationship with them and even you to take a step away from them and not be their mom right now, but you're, you know, this newly divorced person and what do you need and what does that self-care look like? And I'm not talking about massages and going to the spa for the day, but, you know, is there a friend that you need to lean on? Is there an activity that you need to do that really brings you a ton of joy and fills your cup? You know, to distract you even from what's going on with them and their kids, their children and their fathers. So yeah, just this could definitely translate to a lot of different relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a beautiful song. And I hope that at least one person out there who would never listen to this song otherwise makes the choice to listen to it and appreciate. I have a lot of appreciation for Metallica and the messages in their music. So if sharing this can inspire one person to be able to see that a little bit differently, we've done our job here today, right?
I'm going to agree with you, but I'm going to up the ante, and I'm just going to double dog dare all y'all to go listen to it. Because if you could see Angela's face, it's like she's holding herself back from saying, just go listen to the damn song.
It's so true. It's so true. Like, give yourself the opportunity to listen to this really beautiful piece of music. It's a masterpiece. It really is.
Just has such a good message.
Thank you. It really does have a good message. So many of their songs do. Go listen to the S&M version if that will help you feel a little more comfortable with that symphony in the background. Listen to it. It's gorgeous. It's amazing. Do yourself a favor.
I'm going to put it in the show notes. You chicken littles, if you can't listen to the real, fully leaded, easy to listen to Metalica, we're going to give you the symphony version. And I want you to go indulge in that one then and just reflect.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to add to this song, Angela?
I'm just going to say thank you to Metalica. Like, holy hell, you bring a beautiful light to this world. You are a keeper of the flame for so many of us. So yeah, thank you for the beautiful words and the beautiful music you put out.
I love that. Well, I think that is a great way to end this episode. Podcast Land, I hope this episode was music to your ears. Well, that was fun, wasn't it? You never know what rabbit holes we'll get to go down and explore. Were you reminded of anything? Or anyone? Share what it was with me in a review. Honestly, the reviews don't do me any favors other than knowing people like you are listening to this podcast. Insert cheesy wink. However, the ratings do help, so leave me 5 stars. You know you wanna. This podcast was produced by Virtual You, supporting you in all things podcasting. To connect or check me out on social media, I know you're just gonna stalk me. But see the show notes, as always, for details. Can't wait to dive into my next guest's memories with a beat. Hit subscribe now. You don't want to miss the next episode.